Now, despite the overwhelmingly swaying support and opposition from audiences of the new Gladiator 2 film, a common theme I've been hearing is that Marcus Acacius is somehow a feeble, unmasculine character. Now, personally, I couldn't disagree more, and would like to quickly make my case in defense of Pedro Pascal's character. Now, the first piece of criticism I hear against him is that he was a puny, feeble general. I think he did sort of, at times, reveal maybe a slippery backbone, and that he wasn't this stoic, staunch, strong-willed general, just based off his demeanor, but he was overall just upset with the direction of where Rome was going, and he did not like having to sacrifice his men and to sacrifice his own safety and a possible loss of a future with his wife to do these random invasions just by the will of the tyrannical emperors that really had no right to be in the position that they were in. And overall, he was simply concerned with the defense of its people, of the defense of Rome's people, and he saw that their resources are being used in a poor fashion, and he wasn't in support of it, so of course he's not going to be staunch and proud of what he's doing. Another thing was that he didn't talk back to the emperors. I think people were pretty concerned that the emperors were going against his beliefs, were saying things to him that obviously he didn't like, and they were sort of trying to elevate him in the eyes of the people to speak up and to really exemplify the actions that he's been taking with the Roman army. And when you saw the film, you saw he was not proud of what he'd done. He wasn't interested in being the face of these choices, but the emperors were forcing him to do that. And overall, he didn't talk back to them, and he didn't really pose much of a threat there because he was playing the long game. As we all know, in the movie, he was planning this long strategy, this big, extensive plan to dethrone those two emperors and to overthrow the reign of the evil Roman officials. So he was playing the long game overall, and that's something you gotta respect, and that took a lot of planning and time, and he was sacrificing his status, he was sacrificing his safety to do this, because I mean, if they found out, which as you know they did, terrible things would happen to him and his family, which also happened. People are also characterizing him as another whiny baby for folding to his wife's questions and to her demands, because obviously once she figured out that the new gladiator was her son, which I guess was the son of Maximus, even though they don't really ever talk about that in the first one, so I really don't know where they got that idea. I was not a big fan of that. Once that was to be discovered, it was pretty clear that he was screwed for what was to come next, because those emperors were planning on doing another big show where practically none of those gladiators would survive. So as this is happening, as she is spelling all this out to him, he's sort of just like eating the words, and he's just taking it in, and he's letting it sit. He's not really interjecting into the conversation. He's not trying to squander his wife's feelings about this, because it's her son after all. And I think he sees some potential in that man, in Lucius. So despite all the hard work he put into this plan to overthrow the empire, he trusted his wife, and he trusted their relationship, and made the choice to sacrifice himself more than anything else to make this happen. And all of this was done out of love for her, and out of love for her son, and the love that he was her son, even though he knew that that Lucius had some vengeful plans with him, and could see it in his eyes when they saw each other multiple times, right? And then lastly, when we get into the physicality of this character, when Lucius and Marcus finally fight and battle against each other in the Colosseum, they put a good fight in there. Obviously, Marcus, I think he was definitely pulling his punches. He wasn't trying to take out Lucius, and Lucius inevitably, they were at a stalemate, and Marcus gave his life. He surrendered just so her son can live. That's a pretty big sacrifice. I don't think that in any way was an immasculine choice to do that, to lay down your life for a loved one like that. And he also had faith in him that he wouldn't, be the demise of himself, which obviously happened, but unfortunately things went south, and he ended up receiving what was planned, I guess. But this whole choice was a nice gesture, and it showed that he was a masculine character that was principally based on principle, not even demeanor. And I found him to be more of an inspiring character than probably the main character, honestly, even though it was nice to see that he spared him in the end. So with this brief argument being said, wouldn't you agree that Marcus Acacius was not a baby, and he wasn't a little wimp for doing what he did, and that in the end he was a masculine, strong-willed character that really looked out for the lives of his loved ones, and looked up for the future of Rome by the choices he made? If you disagree with me, I'd like to hear your opinions in the comments below. Please let me know, and let's have a conversation about this, because maybe I'm not seeing the biggest picture, but I would certainly like to understand it better if you have another case. Now, if you liked what I had to say, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 600 subs, and I'd love your support, and let me know in the comments below what your thoughts on this predicament are. Anyways, I always appreciate your time spent with me. I wish you well, and I'll see you soon.